Across the scorched savannas of Kenya, the boundary between life and death hangs by a thread. Lions stalk the tall grass, while patient predators wait in murky waters and unceasing contest. How can vulnerable animals defy the apex predator? Surrounded by lions, they roar back in defiance. In the deep river, the crocodile's bone-crushing jaws miss its prey, thwarted by survival instinct. The secret to their survival is a power no solitary hunter possesses: unity in the herd. Welcome to one of humanity's oldest landscapes, a wasteland where nature tests their endurance of all life. Months of severe drought crack the earth, driven by the relentless passage of time. Vultures circle above sun-white bones, while Juma, the dominant predator, surveys his thirsting territory. For the baboon troop, family is their final refuge, a shield facing 3 severe trials. Their home lies in a volcanic crater, where wild fig trees cling bravely to life. Every morning, the troop scatters across the savanna, entering a world of immense danger. As baboons climb high to forage, they forge an unexpected alliance with grazing herds. Falling fruit feeds the antelope's biological machines, gifted with radar, like ears to detect danger. Alerting the troop to approaching death, the antelopes scatter, distracting the shadow hunters. Together, 2 distinct species write an epic saga of harmony and shared survival. Tiny klipspringers stand on tiptoe, watching every dark corner with instinct honed over generations. Then the ultimate speed predator appears. A cheetah glides silently through the grass, target-acquired eyes fixed on the unsuspecting prey. In an instant, it strikes, explosive velocity slicing through the air. The takedown, fangs locking around the throat, a life-or-death struggle. Exhausted after the burst, the hunter gasps as a formidable lion emerges from the bush. The apex predator steals the kill. The cheetah retreats in terror, helpless to resist. It watches from afar, filled with regret as its prize succumbs to the law of survival. Speed brings triumph, yet leaves the individual vulnerable in the fragile equilibrium of nature. In contrast, the giraffe stands tall, a magnificent relic of a forgot age. Yet even the monarch must bow to drink, bound forever by their eternal cycle of life. On this sun-drenched wasteland, lowering its crown leaves the towering giraffe, dangerously exposed, a critical tipping point. Waiting in final stillness, a hungry lioness begins her deadly advance, driven by pure survival instinct. Yet this giant is no cornered quarry. Young males relentlessly hone their muscular necks for brutal combat. When mating season arrives, these devastating blows become formidable weapons, securing unchallenged power. Elevated high above the canopy, the giraffe's eyes act as a living watchtower for the zebra herd. In return, the zebra's monochrome stripes disrupt the vision of any stealthy predator seeking an easy strike. By shielding each other's vulnerabilities, they build a final refuge against the relentless passage of time. Yet lethal peril approaches from the direction the grazing allies least expect. From a high rocky outcrop, Juma, dominant predator of the troop, detects their advancing shadow. The lioness glides silently through the dry brush, narrowing her focus upon the baboons. Juma's alarm call shatters the stillness. A sudden surge of adrenaline. Mothers clutch their young tightly, while battle-tested males form an unbroken defensive line. Bearing razor-sharp fangs, they snarl fiercely to intimidate their age-old adversary. Confronted by a wall of deadly teeth, the panicked lioness turns and flees. The individual may be vulnerable prey, but the united troop is a formidable living wall. For a single venomous bite from a baboon can turn any conflict into a life-or-death struggle. With danger averted, Juma and his companions relax, grooming each other to restore the fragile equilibrium. Daylight brings safety through solidarity, but the unforgiving rules shift as night falls. Darkness engulfs the Kenyan plain, threatening to dissolve the collective spirit of the troop. Yet before night descends, nature presents another stern test of survival. As the dry season exhausts wild fruit, young baboons must awaken their instinct honed over generations to hunt. Beneath adult leadership, they sprint after unsuspecting gazelles across the scorched savanna. Relentless chases shape their evolution, transforming young novices into future apex predators. Adaptable masters of the food chain, they feed on roots, insects, and wild bird eggs alike. When intense hunger takes hold, their predatory drive compels them to stalk other primates. A stray vervet monkey is instantly targeted by the unrelenting troop. A thrilling pursuit breaks out through the high forest canopy, frantic, dangerous, and tense. Sprinting through branches like lightning, the agile vervet miraculously escapes the trap. To the baboon, fresh meat is the ultimate prize, granting unmatched authority to the successful hunter. Will this eternal struggle ensure Juma's lineage survives their ruthless law of survival? Subordinate baboons offer precious food too, appease the strong and earn their patronage. This silent alliance builds an unseen shield around the troop's most fragile offspring. From birth, infant baboons are protected by watchful male guardians ready for combat. These fierce protectors display deadly fangs to defend infants, as if they were their own. Hours of dedicated grooming reinforce a sacred pact forged by the Creator itself. The former leader surveys its territory in tranquil solitude, undisturbed and deeply respected. Enduring in this unyielding landscape is a monumental victory in the cycle of life. While juveniles play, they master crucial survival skills that shape tomorrow's order. Yet baboons are not the only creatures bound by complex social structures in the great jungle. In the murky river depths, 30 hippos submerge to escape the relentless heat. These formidable biological machines glide effortlessly, buoyed by the river's gentle embrace. Able to hold their breath for 5 minutes, they even sleep underwater undisturbed. Rising automatically to breathe, they sink back down into their watery sanctuary. Thus, through unity and ancient instincts, life endures in this timeless, fragile equilibrium. In the great jungle, communal bonds dictate survival, where every mother stands ready to nourish the herd. But tranquility shatters as an age-old adversary glides silently through the withered leaves. Sensing lethal danger, a lone mongoose ignites its instinct honed over generations. Dodging relentless strikes, driving the apex predator to absolute exhaustion. With one lethal bite, the agile individual banishes a rival 10 times its size. Yet the cycle of life does not pause for victory. It finds rebirth in the shadow of death. High above in the scorched sky, vultures circle rising thermal currents, searching for the fallen. Piercing eyes spot a carcass tens of winged scavengers dive into a life or death struggle. Screaming in chaotic fury, tearing fresh flesh in a suffocating spectacle of the food chain. Their featherless heads probe deep into their remains, immune to blood and lethal contagion. Corrosive gastric acid incinerates deadly bacteria, transforming them into nature's ultimate biological machine. Opportunistic hyenas snatch a quick morsel before vanishing into the relentless passage of time. Within hours, only bare bones remain preserving the fragile equilibrium across this unforgiving wasteland. Not far away, a baboon troop welcomes a peaceful encounter with the true dominant predator of the wilderness. A giant elephant herd strides past, while the primates groom calmly without a single flicker of fear. Consuming hundreds of kilograms of vegetation, these behemoths spend 20 hours a day in endless feeding. Leading the herd is an ancient matriarch, keeper of a survival map forged across decades of hardship. Her memory holds every hidden waterhole, guiding the next generation through the harsh law of survival. A trunk packed with tens of thousands of muscle fibers serves as both delicate instrument and formidable weapon. Low-frequency infrasound waves travel deep through the bedrock, spreading secret messages across miles of territory. As heavy footsteps crush the thicket, fruit falling from high branches gifts the baboons an unexpected feast. Where the giants pass, paths open for all species, proving that towering power can coexist without threat. Beneath their monumental tread, tiny dung beetles labor relentlessly, seizing every humble chance in this vast wasteland. They shape fresh dung into perfect spheres before the scorching sun bakes the earth into hard stone. Pushing burdens many times their own body weight across the burning sands with unyielding resolve. Miraculously, they navigate using the sun by day and the shimmering Milky Way across the night sky. Farther south along the sun-scorched Zambezi River, a desperate baboon troop lingers at the bottom of the hierarchy. Without guardians or allies, crippling drought forces them down to the perilous water's edge to quench their thirst. Beneath murky currents, a crocodile lurks, a prehistoric killer relic of a forgot age. Armed with a 2-ton bite ready to crush any prey approaching the tipping point. A dark shadow closes in from behind, silent, relentless. Suddenly, the water explodes. The apex monster strikes. Desperate struggle, the father leaps in, striving to snatch his infant back. Churning white water, a violent frenzy tears through the cornered quarry. As the river tragedy ends, a far more lethal predator prepares for the night hunt. A leopard lurks within the brush, an apex predator born to scale the trees. Pitch black darkness envelops the canopy. The primates huddle together, believing high branches offer safety. While night blinds the monkeys, it gives the silent phantom unchallenged power over their shadows. An alarm scream shatters the final stillness. Terror erupts through the dark. The leopard lunges through the canopy, striking swiftly in nature's everlasting war of survival. A piercing scream tears through the ancient dark nature, claims another toll as an apex predator snatches a mother baboon from the sleeping canopy. Dawn offers no sanctuary in this merciless wilderness, only the stark reality of loss. In their relentless food chain, the safety of the herd is paid for in blood. To escape their age-old adversary, The troop chooses a desperate gamble, roosting directly above a hyena den. Here, survival instinct demands that you sleep alongside one enemy to deter another. 4 grueling months of drought draw to a close. Dark storm clouds gather, unleashing torrents of rain that breathe rebirth into a landscape parched by time. Across the scorched plains of Kenya, the wasteland turns lush with life, yet abundance triggers a brutal rivalry. Internal brawls erupt within the troop as sudden prosperity awakens fierce instincts for domination and power. Tens of thousands of wildebeest and zebras arrive at the river's edge. Before them lies a treacherous obstacle guarded by ancient aquatic monsters. Guided by the cycle of life, the first beast leaps. Panic ripples. Crocodiles strike, crushing jaws lock onto flesh in a violent life or death struggle. Red foam erupts. The weak are dragged into final stillness, sacrificial prey, paying the ultimate price so the herd may endure. Yet the overwhelming tide surges forward. Overpowered by raw collective instinct, thousands storm the far bank, leaving fallen kin behind to satisfy the river's ruthless appetite. Farther across the Savanna, tragedy strikes the formidable buffalo herd. Known as the Black Death, these biological armor-plated giants lose their matriarch, plunging the herd into a power vacuum. Their strength lies in ultimate unity, but without a supreme leader, the collective force fractures. Days of chaotic wrestling for hierarchy follow before order can finally be restored. Nearby, a solitary rhinoceros stalks the plains. Armed with sharp horns and a violent, short-tempered nature, this relic of a forgot age views all living entities as trespassers. With poor eyesight but unbound aggression, the rogue beast lowers its head, stamping the earth, prepared to crush a majestic herd of elephants advancing through its domain. But he has miscalculated. The ancient matriarch steps forward. Her thunderous roar echoes across the plain as she shields her vulnerable young. Sudden impact. The formidable matriarch slams directly into their intruder, flipping their aggressive beast into the thick mud with irresistible crushing force. Humiliated and utterly terrified, the rogue creature scrambles upright, fleeing for its life from an unbeatable force of nature. Absolute domination is asserted. Through unwavering collective unity, the great elephant herd reigns supreme across this unforgiving territory, proving that under their eternal laws of survival, only supreme power dictates who holds the right to remain. Yet as dusk approaches, another drama unfolds within the Juma baboon troop. A young male reaching adulthood is exiled by the law of survival to prevent inbreeding within the ancient clan. Forced into a solitary existence, he wanders alone for a grueling month. Stripped of his herd's supreme protection, every single step across the wilderness becomes a treacherous struggle against the relentless passage of time and unseen predators. Danger strikes. A spotted shadow bursts from the thicket. The apex predator strikes. The young baboon springs into midair with wild, panicked shrieks. Through sheer lightning reflexes, he narrowly evades the killer's fangs. Survival in this brutal ecosystem relies not merely on raw muscle, but on seizing split-second opportunities for life. Darkness settles, and spotted hyenas assemble in the twilight shadows. Far from mere scavengers, these ghost-like nocturnal hunters operate with cold, lethal precision under their ruthless command of a supreme alpha matriarch. Enforcing strict iron discipline, she instills lessons of survival and absolute order in the young. Together, this relentless pack possesses the coordinated power to bring down formidable beasts many times their own size. Tonight, their hunger draws them directly to the base of the baboon cliff. Cruelly, at this moment of mortal peril, civil war ignites within the Juma troop, as individuals viciously turn on one another in the dark. Savage growls and brutal biting tear through the blackness, a destructive conflict tearing the herd apart when unity is needed most. Yet height remains their ultimate fortress, as the earthbound hunters wait helplessly below. Clinging tightly to the highest branches, the baboons freeze in silent terror, watching the deadly shadows circle below. Their deep instinct to survive keeps them completely motionless through hours of agonizing tension, until the darkness finally yields to the dawn. At last, the first rays of golden light pierce the horizon, forcing the hyena pack to retreat into the scrub. As dawn illuminates the vast savanna, young Bakari limps forward into another day alive, bruised, but enduring as a testament to the unyielding, eternal law of nature. Though an agonizing wound leaves Bahari frail, the survival instinct of the Juma troop forbids abandonment. Gentle hands groom and comfort, reinforcing the unbreakable bonds that keep the herd alive. From the high canopy, vigilant eyes scan the brush, ever watchful for a lurking predator. Yet under the relentless sun of the Rift Valley, the drying water holes push every individual to the limit. The merciless heat depletes all energy. Even the apex lions lie powerless in the shade. Across the parched wilderness, as their territory shrinks each day, desperate antelope herds venture into the perilous unknown, driven by instinct honed over generations. The prolonged drought transforms the Great Plain into a silent graveyard of the fallen. Sensing the smell of decay, vultures descend to strip the carcasses, leaving no trace in the cycle of life. Will this unforgiving crucible swallow all life, or does the fragile equilibrium endure through adversity? Bahari's wounds will heal, allowing him to stand guard once more for the troop. Juma stands firm atop the ridge, guiding the individual through the relentless passage of time. Protected by the herd, young lion cubs suckle, safely shielded from a world ruled by the law of survival. Leaving the vast plains of Africa, we ascend to the rooftop of the world Tibet. At nearly 5,000 meters in frozen air, every single breath is a costly gamble for survival. Amid snow peaks, gray wolves move in silence, tracking the faint scent of their prey. High above, ravens circle jagged cliffs, breaking the final stillness of this frozen wasteland. Perched on a precipice, the snow leopard, a dominant predator, watches their abyss with razor-sharp gaze. Mountain goats tread precarious ledges, where a single misstep means immediate elimination. Here, survival is no longer mere instinct, it is a masterclass in biological adaptation. Golden eagles soar in the sky, while Himalayan vultures survey the plateau like a living map. They do not hunt, they patiently wait for nature to prepare their feast. Powerful beaks tear through frozen flesh, perfectly engineered for their role in the food chain. A featherless neck is a marvel of evolution, keeping them clean as they feast upon a fallen yak. Dozens of vultures descend in a flurry, cleaning a carcass completely within 2 hours. By cleansing the mountain, they restore purity to the land before rising back into the clouds. In January, These masters of the sky nest on vertical cliffs, sharing space without conflict. After 50 days of incubation, new life emerges amidst the snow, continuing the cycle of life. Yet beyond the nesting grounds, the icy slopes conceal a deadly killer. As temperatures plunge below zero, a silent assassin emerges from the shadowed rocks. The snow leopard treads soundlessly its spotted coat, fading seamlessly into the winter terrain. Weighing 55 kilograms, this apex predator can leap 15 meters in a single bound. Its immense strength allows it to overpower prey 3 times its own body mass. A biological machine shaped by extreme adversity, it needs a large sheep every single week. A long bushy tail acts as a warm blanket, while broad paws serve as natural snowshoes. It can remain motionless for 18 hours, conserving power for a single decisive strike. Intriguingly, it is the only big cat incapable of roaring, living its life in absolute silence. Dominating thousands of square kilometers, females call out only during mating season. On neighboring crags, a herd of Himalayan ibex faces the ultimate test of survival. Specialized hooves grip sheer rock faces, turning dangerous cliffs into a sanctuary. Yet the shadow of their age-old adversary lingers near a constant threat too, the fragile equilibrium. A young goat senses danger nearby, while the dominant male stands sentinel on the highest peak. The herd holds its breath, for on these frozen cliffs, one mistake means instant death. A life or death struggle is about to begin in the final refuge of the wilderness. In the misty bamboo sanctuary, amidst the watchful gaze of the alpine herd, a formidable biological machine emerges from the shadows. Bound by an ancient evolutionary paradox, this strange apex vegetarian possesses the gut of a carnivore, yet dedicates 14 hours a day to the cycle of life. Weighing 150 kilograms, it scales the lofty canopy, with ease ruling its secluded territory in the heart of nature. When spring shatters, the final stillness instinct honed over generations takes hold, driving rivals into a life or death struggle for ultimate domination. Nearby, the Tibetan macaque enforces the law of survival, an elite troop governed by command and unyielding survival instinct. The alpha's throne is never permanent, for in this unforgiving wasteland, ambitious youth will depose the weak to forge a new empire. At 4,000 meters, a relic of a forgot age glimmers, the Himalayan monal, enduring the relentless passage of time. Along the barren slopes, the tiny pika labors tirelessly, a key creature holding the fragile ecosystem together. To survive the harsh winter without hibernating, it slashes its metabolism by 30%, guarding its food reserves before the tipping point arrives. Inside the subterranean fortress, sudden raids provoke violent battles, every individual driven by the raw urge for self-preservation. When blizzard conditions strike, desperation forces the pika to consume yak dung, a brutal strategy to outlast the cruel freeze. Yet survival comes at a dark price, for this small creature remains the primary prey, nourishing the apex predators of the Tibetan plateau. Watching from afar, the Tibetan fox locks its unblinking eyes, an age-old adversary waiting for the precise moment of vulnerability. Deep in the bamboo wilderness, the elusive red panda moves across the high branches, finding its place in the fragile equilibrium of the food chain. Shadows lengthen as the Tibetan wolf pack emerges, a deadly collective operating with iron discipline and ruthless hunting tactics. Pushing two speeds of 40 kilometers per hour, these top predators swarm their quarry, leaving no salvation for the targeted herd. Devouring entire meals in minutes, the pack cements its domination, fulfilling its ancient role in their relentless cycle of life. Beneath the frozen wasteland, the Himalayan marmot retreats to its deep sanctuary, sleeping through 8 long months of winter. When the sun returns, it feeds in panic on alpine vegetation, tripling its weight to prepare for the inevitable cold. Every frantic step upon the craggy rocks is guided by pure biological instinct, an eternal struggle to outrun death. As snows melt from the highest ridges, the majestic Tibetan red deer stag roars across the valley, claiming his place as dominant predator. In this wild frontier, will the coming summer bring lasting peace, or will the relentless passage of time demand another bloody life or death struggle? The herd of red deer abandons the searing peaks to seek refuge in the fertile valleys below, guided by an instinct honed over generations. Yet upon this desolate highland, a dominant predator reigns, a relic of a forgot age, weighing over a ton, the mighty wild yak. Thriving at 6,000 meters, wrapped in dense fur and insulating fat, this biological machine extracts precious life from mere dry grass and frozen moss. Despite its immense weight, it moves with astonishing agility across sheer, snow-choked cliffs, possessing no age-old adversary save 4 wolves stalking its young. Yet the relentless passage of time and human intrusion now push this apex predator toward the tipping point, as global fires shatter nature's fragile equilibrium. Far from the frozen peaks, upon the sun-drenched savanna, hidden predators lie in wait as millions of hooves announce the Great Migration. Zebras and wildebeests embark on a perilous trek, forming a miraculous survival alliance, where acute senses smell the distant rain 50 kilometers away. But unity in the herd is merely a fragile disguise when the ultimate test arrives. The survival instinct compels every individual to save only itself. A lethal predator glides through the high grass, targeting a solitary victim. Blinding speed tears through the wind. Razor-sharp fangs sink deep into the throat. The law of survival is fulfilled, a life-or-death struggle, ended in seconds. Watching from afar, the herd exhales in fleeting relief, yet even non-carnivores possess lethal power, capable of shattering a predator's skull with one crushing kick. As darkness falls upon the wasteland, fiery eyes ignite. Lionesses lurk within the shadows, tightening the circle of death. Yet the true dominant predator of the night is the African buffalo, a 1-ton wall of living muscle, known to native tribes as the Black Death. Deadly horns serve as an impenetrable shield, unleashing ferocious counterstrikes that strike terror into the hearts of even apex lions. Unyielding and invincible, they forge a living fortress against the final stillness, writing yet another chapter in the endless epic of survival. A thick frontal shield, forged like living armor by nature, absorbs every brutal impact, shielding the brain within. Yet this supreme power is not bestowed. At birth, it is tempered through a decade of a life-or-death struggle. Every scar upon these iron horns is the heavy price of survival, as 2 giants collide upon the scorched earth. buffalo obeys the raw law of survival, locked in a grueling duel of instinct honed over generations. Dust clouds billow beneath thunderous hooves in this fight for domination. There is no place for mercy. Even distant predators watch with profound caution, while the young gaze in awe at their dominant predators. The victor shall claim undisputed dominion over the herd, as heavily armored heads smash mercilessly within the mud. A mighty beast slams his opponent into the earth, forcing the vanquished rival to flee in utter panic. Yet victory exacts a brutal toll. Crimson blood spills from snout and jaw, staining dark hide beneath the sun. Scavenging insects swarm the wounds left behind, for nature offers no sympathy to those who falter in this wasteland. Only the most resilient individuals endure the storm of evolution, their fierce eyes burning bright despite deep injuries. Across the riverbanks, a giant shadowy force emerges, an age-old adversary submerged beneath deep waters, guarding its territory. Back on dry land, sheer numbers are the ultimate weapon, forcing even a solitary apex predator to retreat. Hundreds of individuals merge into an impenetrable wall, a formidable fortress of bone and muscle ready to crush obstacles. A lioness stalks quietly from the dense foliage, but the slightest threat ignites fury within the herd. A seismic tremor shakes the savanna as hooves stampede blinding dust, swirling into the sky in pursuit. This is psychological warfare between cunning hunter and collective power. A full-grown buffalo outweighs its enemy 5 times over. One direct blow means an irreversible death sentence, and a devastating strike sends the predator flying. Outmatched in brute strength, a pride of 10 hunters coordinates maneuvering their prey into a fatal trap. Razor claws sink deep. A lone buffalo falls, but the black wall charges forward to save their fallen brother. Furious hooves crush the ground. Terrified hunters scatter, while a defeated lion lies helpless beneath the herd's gaze. Field data reveals a grim reality: 40% of lions perish in these clashes before peace returns to the plains. As the fragile equilibrium settles, elephant families roam, peacefully cradling their young within their eternal sanctuary of the herd. But leaving the grassland for the tranquil river, we encounter nature's most deceptive inhabitant, an apex predator in disguise. A lazy yawn hides a ruthless killer wielding 60-centimeter tusks, evolved specifically to impale and shatter any age-old adversary. In these dark waters, forgiveness does not exist. Every crushing bite is an absolute act of ultimate destruction. Here in the shimmering shallows, an unwritten law reigns supreme, where the fierce survival instinct turns ancient waters into a relentless battlefield. The dominant predator of the river strikes without mercy, sparing not even the young of its own kind. Guided by territorial rage, a life-or-death struggle leaves the defeated bruised and bleeding, a stark reminder of the law of survival that dictates life in the great wetland. But beneath these murky depths, threat is never far as a mother waterbug and her calf tread carefully along the muddy shore. Shadowed by a pack of wild dogs, hungry eyes lock onto their prey. Trapped, desperate, the prey leaps into the deep river to escape. The predators watch in frustration, yet out of the shadows, the larger predator strikes. Massive jaws snap shut. The waters turn crimson, a desperate escape transformed into ultimate tragedy. Yet the river does not belong to a single monarch. Welcome to the legendary domain of the African elephant, a true living titan of nature. 6 tons of raw, unstoppable force shake the very bedrock of the Savanna, forcing prideful lions to retreat into the shadows. A single trumpet of defiance sends apex predators, scattering even towering giraffes, yield to this magnificent biological machine of power. Beneath the surface, crocodile stealth is crushed under formidable feet, while panic-stricken zebras part like water before the dominant predator. This is the undisputed dominance of the elephant and apex predator, whose wrath, when provoked, brings apocalyptic devastation. Its ultimate weapon is the trunk, a masterwork of evolution forged by 40,000 muscular units, combining delicate grace with immense destruction. Capable of picking up a single seed or uprooting ancient trees and hurling fully grown hippos aside like fragile leaves. Each thunderous step delivers force like a runaway juggernaut, a realm ruled by unmatched physical power and formidable intelligence. Yet ancient lore speaks of herds growing intoxicated on fermented marula fruit, a myth dispelled by modern science, revealing a far more subtle truth. What transforms these wise giants into erratic beasts is the accidental ingestion of natural toxins while stripping ancient bark, fueling a primal frenzy. A giant stripped of its senses becomes an unpredictable force of nature, an ever-present peril in the heart of the wilderness. While elephants often seek peace, the plains shelter another relic of a forgot age, a short-tempered gladiator known as the rhinoceros. Wrapped in 1.4 tons of natural armor armed with a deadly horn, the creator bestowed immense power, yet cursed it with failing sight. Blind to anything beyond a few meters, the world appears as mere shadows, compelling this beast to attack everything in its path. From dried logs and granite boulders to the towering silhouette of an elephant passing by, any movement triggers an immediate charge. An unfamiliar scent or faint whisper in the wind ignites instinct honed over generations, launching a living battering ram that flats all before it. As the cycle of life brings the mating season, these relentless encounters reach a fever pitch, where every heartbeat is a life or death struggle against the relentless passage of time. On the sun-drenched wasteland, an ancient battle unfolds under the unforgiving law of survival. An aging titan, driven by raw survival instinct, aggressively drives off a young calf to claim its mother. Dust storms swirl as nature witnesses a desperate stand. The mother shields her offspring. Lethal horns collide, biological machines locked in a relentless life or death struggle. Blood spills onto the scorched earth, will instinct honed over generations triumph over raw power. Such violent territorial clashes account for half of all natural deaths among these giants. Exhausted, the defeated rival collapses, leaving mother and child a fleeting moment of peace. In the wild kingdom, peace is an illusion. Danger lurks in the final stillness of twilight. A reticulated python slithers through dry leaves, igniting the relentless passage of time. Moonlight cuts through dense mist. Out from the gloom emerges a ghost of the great jungle. The black panther, a rare anomaly born once in 10,000 births, a true relic of evolution. Piercing golden eyes slice through darkness. Its pitch-black coat makes it a supreme apex predator by night. Yet this very dark cloak becomes a deadly curse beneath the glaring sun. Leaving Africa behind, we enter India's Kabini forest, a dense battlefield where every inch is contested. The Black Panther named Phantom arrives, bearing fresh scars from recent fights for survival. High in the canopy, he faces his age-old adversary Scarface, the dominant predator of this domain. Below, Kumal patrols, a formidable Bengal tiger weighing over 200 kilograms. This ferocious tyrant fears no one, and his ultimate objective is to eradicate Phantom. As the grueling dry season strikes, the fragile equilibrium of the sanctuary begins to collapse. Temperatures soar near 40 degrees. Phantom's black fur absorbs crushing heat. Panting heavily, he risks entering the damp territory of Kumal and the lethal tigress Kismet. Yet Phantom possesses an evolutionary weapon agility that the giant tiger can never match. With lightning leaps into treetops, the black shadow escapes the heavy tyrant below. Suddenly, a fresh nightmare sweeps the forest floor, a ravenous herd of 20 dholes. Even Kumal yields ground too, this relentless pack of red hunters. Phantom remains calm. He relies on the jungle's biological alarm system, the langur monkeys. Their frantic calls warn him of approaching enemies, allowing him to make life or death decisions. Through adaptability and sharp instincts, the apex predator survives the scorching drought. Beneath a blood-red sunset, a deadly ambush closes in. 8 dholes tight the trap. Can Phantom survive this life or death struggle? As night descends upon the vast wilderness, a lion pride patiently tides its deadly perimeter, yet darkness is the ultimate ally of the shadow predator. Behind their retinas lies a specialized reflective membrane, allowing the faintest glimmers of light to pass twice, piercing the final stillness of the night. The obsidian coat of Phantom absorbs every ray, turning this apex predator into an invisible phantom within nature's darkest domain. Nearby, lionesses catch the scent of roaming prey. A sudden movement in the brush instantly draws their attention of their entire herd. Distracted by an easy target, the lions abandon their watch, allowing the shadow hunter to slip away into the depths of the forest. Guided by pure survival instinct, Phantom fixes his gaze upon an isolated antelope, striking with lethal precision in a fraction of a second. As dawn breaks across the horizon, he hauls his prize high into an ancient acacia tree, surveying his vast territory from above. Evolution has gifted melanistic leopards a 23% higher success rate in nocturnal hunting, making them dominant predators of the night. Yet the unrelenting struggle for existence never ceases, shifting our journey to the endless, drowned swamps of the South American wilderness. In the Mamara flooded forest of the Amazon, spanning over 1 million hectares, water is not merely an environment, it is a merciless predator. Here emerges another biological marvel, the black jaguar known as obsidian, a relic of ancient power hunting under the sunless canopy. Unbound by day or night, he traverses the swamp, yet this treacherous jungle is far from being his solitary kingdom. Lurking beneath the murky depths is an age-old adversary, a legless giant exceeding 7 meters in length and weighing over 200 kilograms. The green anaconda, a titan of the riverways, lying in wait as an unsuspecting capybara grazes along the muddy bank. No roar is uttered. Massive muscle coils constrict with terrifying, crushing force. Hydraulic pressure halts the victim's heartbeat within seconds, enforcing the brutal law of survival. However, this flooded sanctuary holds more than one dominant predator watching from the shadows of the canopy. Obsidian glides effortlessly through the water. Even armored caimans are nothing more than prey to his 1,500 Newton bite force. A swift, devastating strike. Skull crushed. The armored beast collapses instantly. Dragging the heavy reptilian carcass up steep rocks, the shadow predator proves that even fierce rulers become tonight's feast. Yet Obsidian presses, further trespassing directly into the sacred territory of the giant anaconda. Vibrational sensors along the serpent's skin detect the disturbance. The River Lord rises to expel the intruder. Unfazed, the black jaguar leaps straight into the churning current. Water erupts. A life or death struggle begins beneath the surface. The serpent coils tightly, attempting to drown the feline in the thick mud. Gnashing's fangs sink deep. Jaguar teeth shatter heavy muscle fibers. Blood stains the river red as the giant's crushing coils weaken and fail. Stripped of its power, the anaconda is rendered lifeless against the tide. Obsidian hauls the formidable aquatic monster onto the shore, a staggering display of unchallenged power. A single genetic mutation has forged an apex predator, stripping the ancient river titan of its legendary authority. The giant submits to the sharp claws of darkness, solidifying the jaguar's place at the pinnacle of power. Pacing proudly through the shadows, he leaves behind an echo of terror across the Amazonian wilderness. As darkness settles once more over the riverbank, the chaotic fury of the battle gives way to solemn silence. Licking his blood-stained coat, this living biological machine melts into the dense foliage, preparing for the next inevitable conflict. The calm waters return to their fragile equilibrium, yet all creatures of the jungle know to yield when the black shadow passes. No matter how formidable the foe, instinct honed over generations, and the law of survival reigns supreme in nature's eternal, merciless cycle of life. Leaving the flooded Amazon behind, the Black Panther known as Phantom returns to the sun-baked wilderness of Laikipia. Beneath the unforgiving blaze of midday, her dark coat becomes a death sentence, a stark anomaly in the open realm. Forged by the same dark lineage, nature has carved two vastly different destinies for these supreme shadows. While Obsidian rules the dense emerald canopy, Phantom walks alone through a treacherous theater of survival. Three apex shadows across three continents, but where lies the ultimate battleground of life and death? Is it the brutal pride wars of Kenya, or the violent clashes against ancient nemeses in Kabini? Perhaps it is the murky depths of the Rio Negro, where titan anacondas rule the ancient gloom. Yet across the vast African wilderness, barely 10 melanistic leopards remain relics of a forgot age. Phantom is a rare living miracle, clinging to existence through raw survival instinct in Laikipia. Her tiny sanctuary spans a mere 3 kilometers, engulfed within a lion pride's 40-kilometer stronghold. To establish a lair in the very heart of enemy territory is a gamble against the relentless passage of time. Every stealthy step she takes is shadowed by danger, The open savanna offers no jungle to hide her frame. By all ecological laws, a black leopard should perish here. But evolution favors the adaptable individual. Phantom rewrites the code of survival, turning naked expanse into her ultimate cloak of stealth. She avoids daylight confrontation, waiting patiently as nature paints the sky in blood crimson. When dusk consumes the horizon, the darkness becomes a living armor empowering the apex predator within. From 9 at night until the twilight dawn, the boundless domain becomes her private hunting ground. Beneath the starlit sky of Kenya, she drifts like a ghost guided by the fragile equilibrium of night. Yet as dawn breaks open the morning mist, a desperate race against the law of survival begins anew. Phantom must seek refuge before the blazing sun exposes her black silhouette to lethal rivals. To a pride of 8 hungry lions, a black leopard in daylight is a walking target demanding destruction. Her nocturnal camouflage turns into a beacon of death under the harsh light of midday. The dominant predators of the grassland roam relentlessly, seeking to erase their age-old adversary forever. Her greatest biological machine is her mind, a photographic memory of every rock, cavern, and bush. Blood-soaked lessons of the past have forged an unyielding spirit of survival within her lineage. The Pride commander claims 40 kilometers, yet remains blind to Phantom's hidden 3-kilometer sanctuary. They possess raw brute force, but she holds the master map in this game. Knowledge is life. Once again, the veil of night descends, igniting a high-stakes hunt across the food chain. Phantom emerges from the dark canopy, her golden eyes burning like twin embers in the night. As monsoon rains deluge the great jungle, dense foliage transforms into a shadowy labyrinth. Here, Kismet, a 200-kilogram apex tiger, passes merely feet away, completely unaware of her presence. Deep in Kabini, Leopard Queen Cleo relies on the veteran Scarface to defend her vulnerable offspring. Driven into the shadows, Phantom waits, driven by instinct honed over generations for the tipping point of power. The rain ceases. Satiated from a successful kill, Phantom advances silently through the dense gloom. He tracks Cleo's scent and suddenly confronts Scarface in a ferocious life or death struggle. Overwhelmed by raw power, the old king flees up the trees, yielding his throne to the supreme challenger. A new reign of domination begins, writing a glorious chapter in the everlasting cycle of life. Yet back on the arid plains, a lioness stalks a tiny dick, a creature barely 40 centimeters tall. Agility triumphs over brute force as the miniature prey leaps through narrow thorns, leaving the predator empty-handed. In the vast savanna, a tiny dick stands vigilant, bound forever to its one true lifelong partner. Together they guard their small territory, for if one falls, the survivor surrenders to grief and the relentless passage of time. Yet here, survival demands more than solitary devotion, as millions of wildebeests forge a living, breathing superorganism. Without a single ruler to command them, instinct honed over generations guides the herd with absolute, terrifying precision. At the slightest threat, they form an impenetrable shield, drowning the stealthy cheetah in a sea of dust. To overwhelm the hunger of lurking predators, nature decrees a synchronized explosion of new life. Thousands are born at once, sacrificing the few to ensure their eternal survival of the herd. 15 minutes from birth, newborn calves must run or be erased forever by the law of survival. Sensing rain 50 kilometers away, this relentless biological tide marches on, shaping the fragile equilibrium of the wilderness. Alongside this great migration march the zebras, equipped with high-contrast stripes as optical armor. In the monochromatic gaze of a hunting lioness, their dazzling forms dissolve into blinding illusions. Unable to lock target, the apex predator strikes empty air, while the zebra's tough stomach digests harsh, dry grass. When 6-ton titans enter the wasteland, the ancient chapter of the Savanna turns once again. Like living bulldozers, the elephant herd sweeps across the plain, uprooting trees and clearing dense thickets. Their trunks, powered by 40,000 muscle fibers, can snap formidable trunks or pick up tiny seeds untouched. Guided by the matriarch's memory of waterholes hidden 30 years ago, they navigate the desolate landscape. Infrasound rumbles below 20 hertz ripple through the earth, connecting the herd across vast distances. Beneath the feet of giants, the humble warthog family emerges, steering clear of deadly rock pythons. When danger calls, raised tails act as glowing beacons, guiding piglets through the tall grass. Sprinting at 50 kilometers per hour, they lock into precise formation, racing toward underground refuges. Kneeling on thick calloused pads to unearth roots, their short necks adapt to the harsh demands of feeding. Cornered by hungry predators, they execute a fatal reverse maneuver into their burrows. Lifting razor-sharp tusks outward, they transform simple burrows into an impenetrable fortress of death. Far from the thunderous herd, the leopard moves like a phantom, dissolving into sunlight and dappled shade. Its rosette-patterned coat shreds its outline, rendering the master predator invisible just meters away. With formidable shoulder muscles forged by natural selection, it drags prey twice its weight high into the trees. From its high canopy stronghold, cold, calculating eyes scan the plain for the next unfortunate victim. Here, amid the relentless struggle for survival, every creature obeys the supreme law of nature. In this unyielding arena, the cycle of life spins endlessly, demanding sacrifice and granting rebirth. And in the final stillness of the wild, only the fittest shall reign over the great jungle of life. High above the sun-baked soil, 10 meters up, a leopard caches its prey far from its age-old adversary. In this unforgiving wilderness, avoiding a life-or-death struggle is the ultimate survival instinct. Yet true dominion over the canopy belongs to smaller sentinels operating a living radar tower. High on the branches, the vervet monkey herd broadcasts encoded warnings across their territory. A rhythmic call signals an eagle diving down. A frantic chatter warns of a serpent below. Ancient instinct and high intellect make these primates the ultimate opportunists of the great jungle. They prowl human camps, waiting for the tipping point of human error to snatch their prize. To preserve social cohesion within this cunning community, they dedicate hours to mutual grooming. And yet, striding across the scorched earth walks a titan, the heaviest flying bird on earth. The Cory bustard, a 3-meter wingspan, carrying a formidable weight of 19 kilograms. Taking flight consumes vital energy, so it wanders on foot, a relic of a forgot age. Following the zebra herd, it cleverly harvests panic-stricken insects from the disturbed grass. As dusk falls over the savanna, the dominant predator of the riverways emerges from the shadow. Thousands of African buffalo charge through wild waters in a surging display of collective force. Unlike docile cattle, this apex predator possesses a brutal, wild temperament. Thick keratin shields its skull, rendering even the lethal bite of lions completely harmless. This natural biological armor is tough enough to deflect heavy hunting bullets. Yet their true power lies in relentless tactical memory and fierce herd solidarity. When a member cries out in distress, the herd instantly triggers a terrifying counterattack. Hundreds of tons of raw muscle turn as one surrounding and crushing the predator. They track the scent of their ancient enemies, seeking relentless vengeance through the brush. Their primary targets are lion cubs, neutralizing future apex threats before they mature. Total elimination of the threat is the uncompromising law of survival for the herd. Even the dominant predator of the plains must retreat when confronted by this wrath. Their thundering hooves warn all hunters never to cross the line of death. As the tempest subsides, nature unveils a stunning, unearthly paradise. The toxic expanse of Lake Magadi glows crimson with millions of lesser flamingos. They establish their realm in a lethal caustic wasteland where others cannot survive. With a pH exceeding 10.5, the water acts like a brutal chemical solvent. Most living entities entering these waters would be instantly dissolved and destroyed. Yet the flamingo stands firm, protected by specialized biological armor on its legs. This anti-corrosive adaptation allows them to dominate the dead lake without fear. The chemical moat transforms this hostile terrain into the final refuge of safety. Land predators remain helpless on the shore, incapable of invading this toxic sanctuary. Lowering their heads, their curved beaks function like sophisticated biological machines. Muscular tongues act like pistons, pumping toxic water 20 times every second. Harvesting microalgae, carotenoid pigments saturate their feathers in brilliant pink hues. A synchronized ritual dance celebrates their absolute mastery over an extreme environment. Leaving the Crimson Lake behind, we push deeper into the endless, wild, open plains. Crossing ancient volcanic craters brings us to Serengeti, 14,000 square kilometers of domain. Over 1.5 million wildebeest and zebras drive the Great Migration forward. Thundering hooves resonate across the soil, upholding the fragile equilibrium and the cycle of life. Yet the vast expanse demands tactical brilliance from the apex predators seeking their prey. To claim domination over the grassland, the lion pride seeks out crucial elevated ground. The copy's ancient granite outcrops, shaped by the relentless passage of time. These monumental rocks serve as shelter and strategic watchtowers commanding 10 kilometers. From these silent strongholds, the dominant predator watches as a life or death struggle begins. Leaving their stone fortress, the pride melds into dry grass like phantom predators guided by instinct honed over generations. Unaware of their age-old adversary lurking in the shadows, the herd grazes peacefully upon the open plains. Slithering through the wasteland, the lioness crouches low, closing in on its prey. Suddenly she explodes like a lethal arrow. Dust swirls as prey collides with fate. No room to struggle, the pride surges in, locking a deadly chokehold in a life or death struggle. Through ruthless teamwork, the law of survival claims another sacrifice for the cycle of life. From afar stands an imposing dark mane, the majestic crest of an apex predator and dominant predator. Nurtured at high altitudes, this dark mane radiates sheer power, commanding unchallenged power over all rivals. Leaving the open savanna behind, life flows inward into the dense canopy of the great jungle. At a remote waterhole, warthogs and waterbuck gather, yet deep within, another master reigns. The male bushbuck, bearing sharp spiral horns, commands this domain of final stillness. In stark contrast, the female blends into dry bark, emerging only at twilight to graze. Yet these green architects of rebirth remain a prized reward within their relentless food chain. To survive nature's trial, its kin the duiker relies on a solitary survival instinct. Hiding in thorny hollows, this biological machine even hunts insects to fuel its existence. True to its name, meaning diver, it plunges into dense foliage at the slightest tipping point of danger. Upon precarious cliffs, the klipspringer leaps each step on rock edges, a precise calculation of survival. Crossing into the semi-desert, the proud oryx besa emerges like a relic of a forgot age. With sword-like horns and specialized digestion, it extracts every drop of life, defying the relentless passage of time. Beneath their relentless sun, the herd bows low, ringing precious life from the dying wasteland. When shadow predators lurk, adults form a defensive wall, a fortress of sharp horns bound by survival instinct. Yet the cycle of life presses forward, drawing us deep into the emerald canopy of the great jungle. High above, bathed in sunlight, the Guraza mantle blazes like a beacon among the ancient clouds. Four clawed hands act as iron hooks, anchoring this relic of a forgot age to the highest branches. A leap into their abyss, defying gravity, leaving the apex predators below helpless. A territorial roar echoes through the mist, asserting unchallenged power as the dominant predator of the canopy. An extraordinary biological machine, its specialized stomach breaks down toxic fibrous leaves, silently sowing seeds, with every step breathing rebirth into the fragile equilibrium of the ancient forest. Can this sanctuary endure when a vastly different world awakens beneath the root soil? From dark burrows, the mongoose mob emerges, igniting chaos in the blinding daylight. Uniting as one, they excavate hard earth, seeking vital fuel in the law of survival. Bound by unwavering loyalty, the strong encircle the fragile, ensuring the survival of the herd. A sentinel stands tall on high ground eyes, scanning constantly for their age-old adversary. Sensing danger, they bolt, vanishing into the earth in a fraction of a second. Further across the wasteland, two formidable bulls enter a life or death struggle. Wielding 2-meter necks like lethal club's bone, shattering impacts vibrate through the chest. The victor claims the right to pass on life, but a merciless test awaits the young. Entering the world, the newborn plummets 2 meters straight onto the hard earth. The violent drop shocks fragile lungs, forcing its very first breath of survival. Cruel irony, a hungry predator locks its fatal gaze from the shadows. Struggling on wobbly legs, will instinct honed over generations prevail before time runs out? Struggling to rise, a tiny heart pumps life against gravity driven by pure survival instinct. It reaches for its mother's milk, knowing the endless savanna will swallow the weak whole. Nearby, cold eyes lock onto the newborn. These are no mere scavengers of nature's wasteland. Over 90% of their sustenance comes from brutal slaughter, boasting a deadly 74% success rate. Powered by an oversized biological engine, the pack wages an agonizing war of attrition against their prey. Cruising relentlessly at 60 kilometers per hour, they wait for their inevitable collapse to tear flesh apart. And today, the vulnerable infant is their chosen target in the fragile equilibrium. The calf falters. The relentless predators strike, charging without mercy. Cold gaze fixed on tiny, cornered quarry. But the giant mother interposes. A 5-meter titan unleashes fury. 1 ton of crushing force, capable of shattering predator bone to dust. Faced with maternal rage, the pack yields, retreating into the shadows of the law of survival. Safe inside their dark lair, the hyena mother nurtures her jet-black pups, innocent to the cruel world outside. Meanwhile, under dappled shade, the young calf drinks deeply, savoring a fleeting moment of sanctuary. Yet across the ancient kingdom, hungry eyes lie in wait within the golden grass, waiting for the tipping point. A solitary cheetah emerges upon the open plain. The planet's fastest biological machine is driven by raw hunger. The imperative to feed her cubs forces this apex predator into a high-stakes gamble for life itself. Ascending a rocky ridge, she scans the vast realm, then explodes forward like a gale-force wind. Flexible spine flexing, non-retractable claws digging into the dry dirt. The herd scatters in panic. Death approaches in broad daylight. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in just 3 seconds. Heart pounding at 250 beats per minute. Pure kinetic energy. Closing the distance, striking down the gazelle in mid-flight. Violent impact. Both hunter and prey tumble wildly in the dust storm. Cruel twist of fate. The prey breaks free from the lethal jaw. Bloodied and injured, the supreme runner staggers, in immense agony, heart broken. Completely spent, she watches her dinner disappear into the distant horizon. Survival instinct triumphed over speed. Maternal devotion forms, an unseen armor guiding vulnerable life through the brutal tides of nature's decree. Life finds harmony in avian melodies, where even the fierce wind seems to slow its pace. Across the vast canopy, high upon thorny acacia branches, a secretary bird meticulously constructs a fortress to welcome a miraculous rebirth. Shells crack in the burning heat, signaling new arrivals, bound for the harsh realities of their eternal cycle of life. Armed with hydraulic piston legs capable of crushing a cobra's skull with 5 times its weight, these chicks emerge as born warriors. But their eternal battle for survival extends far beyond the sun-baked soil into the dark heart of the ancient jungle. Deep within the green abyss, the female hornbill seals herself inside a tree hollow with mud, leaving only a narrow slit to the world. Self-imprisoned, she molts every feather, sacrificing her flight and defense, entrusting its life entirely to her lifelong mate. The male works tirelessly, passing nourishment through the slit and ultimate wager of absolute fidelity, where betrayal means death. Yet in the murky wetlands, nature reveals a far sinister strategy where deceptive trickery rules the day. The cuckoo builds no nest, secretly dropping its egg into an unsuspecting host's refuge, a relic of ancient deceit. The host bird unknowingly incubates its own doom, as the parasitic monster hatches first to claim complete control. A parasitic cuckoo chick shatters its shell instantly driven by a cold, instinct honed over generations to claim complete control. Unaware of the deception, the surrogate parents toil endlessly, feeding the very intruder that doomed their brood. Its deceitful cries weaponize maternal love-bending sacred nature to serve a relentless parasite. Their true kin lie broken in their abyss, below silent victims of the ultimate predator's deceit. Leaving the treacherous wetlands, the herd embarks upon the great migration guided by matriarchs bearing ancient ancestral memory. Into the vast wasteland, they march where a newborn zebra foal breaks into the light, standing within 7 miraculous minutes. Barely an hour old, the fragile biological machine explodes into a desperate sprint to match the herd's relentless pace. Shadows stalk the high golden grass, where the hungry eyes of an age-old adversary lock onto the vulnerable prey. Yet nature grants a dazzling defense, a living weapon etched in mesmerizing black and white stripes. As thousands gallop in unified chaos, the blurring drapes of monochrome create an intoxicating optical illusion across the plains. Dazzled and disoriented, the apex predator cannot isolate a single target within this swirling, sea-like camouflage. Yet the most terrifying threat comes not from claw or fang, but from within the herd's own fractured hierarchy. A usurping stallion claims dominant predator status, unleashing a brutal slaughter upon the young of his fallen rival. To erase an enemy lineage, he forces the mother into a new breeding cycle with chilling, calculated efficiency. Trapped in tragic despair, the mother must endure the ruthless law of survival to secure her own survival. For in the wild balance, survival instinct demands a steep, icy price from every living individual. Thundering directly behind an army of 1.5 million wildebeest surges forward like an apocalyptic storm. They deploy an extraordinary evolutionary defense, swarming the wasteland, as 80% give birth simultaneously. No matter how bloodthirsty the carnivores, they are utterly overwhelmed by this vast flood of living flesh. Fresh from the womb, a tiny calf rises on trembling hooves, immediately joining the unstoppable tide. Across the endless, shelterless steppe, its mother's formidable shadow is its only shield against impending death. Can this fragile spark of life overcome the murderous gauntlet lurking at every turn? The journey towards rebirth reaches its tipping point, where raging, merciless waters await their advancing herd. In the treacherous depths of the Mara River, towering crocodiles await their annual feast of the innocent. Panic strikes. Thousands drown in the violent current or are trampled to death beneath frantic, crushing hooves. Those who reach the distant bank possess an unbreakable spirit forged through a life or death struggle. Their ultimate sacrifice ensures that the sacred flame of the species endures through the relentless passage of time. Yet terror descends not only from the soil but from the dominant predators of the sky. The martial eagle, an apex predator armed with vision 8 times sharper than a human surveys its kingdom. With talons powerful enough to crush a monkey's skull, it is the undisputed lord of the upper realm. Yet inside their thorn tree fortress, these fearsome predators transform into deeply devoted parents, nurturing the next airborne assassin. When the kill is complete, the sky fills with white-backed vultures, nature's silent cleanup brigade. Armed with potent stomach acids that destroy deadly pathogens, they purge the wasteland of disease and decay. In the harsh hierarchy of the feast, young vultures learn patience, respecting the elders before taking their turn. Thus, the cycle of life closes its eternal loop, restoring fragile equilibrium to the boundless, immortal savanna. Beneath the thorny trees, scavengers squabble over bloody remains as their eternal cycle of life moves inexorably forward. In a dark rock crevice, a reticulated python coils around her eggs, a living biological machine of pure survival instinct. Shivering her body to warm the nest by 7 degrees, she endures a 3-month fast, her skin withered, her strength fading. Her icy gaze stands guard, ready to unleash a crushing blow on any wild dog or monitor lizard seeking easy prey. As the shells crack, newborn serpents emerge into the wasteland, driven by instinct honed over generations to hunt for themselves. Upon the sun-drenched savanna, relentless hunger pushes a lion pride to a tipping point. These apex predators devise a reckless plan to hunt the young of a 6-ton giant. Guided by desperation, they leap onto its back. Fangs and claws sink deep, bringing the towering calf to the dust. A feast of blood calms their hunger, but back at the den, the fragile equilibrium shifts into tragedy. A herd of Cape buffalo passes through, discovering defenseless lion cubs hidden behind an earthen mound. This age-old adversary moves swiftly to destroy future predators in their cradle. Guided by the law of survival, the cub flees but cannot escape the furious hooves. The small body collapses into final stillness. To slaughter the young today is to save hundreds of the herd tomorrow from the top of the food chain. Returning home, the lioness stands frozen before her dead offspring, grief transforming into consuming fury. A roar tears through the air. The pride launches into a relentless life or death struggle. Yet blind rage is the enemy of reason, as the buffalo form a living barricade of pointed horns. A powerful counterattack. The dominant predator of the savanna is gored and hurled with tremendous force into the air. The once confident lions break ranks, fleeing in panic and taking refuge high in the trees like cornered quarry. The wounds left behind serve as a grim reminder of the limits of unchallenged power in the natural world. There are no permanent thrones on the wild savanna, for even the apex predator can be humbled. The battle ends, returning fragile equilibrium and quiet peace to the herd under the vast wilderness sky.